Hey everyone, how's it going? Five Finger Shuffle back here with another video, and today is patch notes day. So what I'm going to do is run through everything from the patch notes really quick and kind of tell you what you need to know and the highlights of the patch notes, because there's a whole bunch of information, some of it more important than others. I'm going to try and run through as much as I can though, and fast as possible. Just so you know, this little guy here, we were playing around with some fun logos, and I thought this was kind of funny. So if you see this logo, you'll know the video is mine, and I'm also using it on Discord, so kind of help everybody know who I am and keep things straight. So the first thing I want to bring up is, whoops, of course it's not working now. First thing I want to bring up is the Elixir Lab. So here's the Elixir Lab. This is the first thing they talked about on stream today when DHC did their live stream. So we can finally take low elixirs, make them into mids, or mid elixirs and make them into highs. So if you're one mid short, you can now use gold to pay to get a mid instead of having to do the run 5-10 times just to get that last mid you need to ascend your champion. The next thing, I only have a few screenshots here for you, and then we're going to go over to the champion box and look at those. So let's just run through these screenshots really quick. The next one is the skins. So we all know they've talked about adding different outfits for the champions. So this is the Fire Archangel. He looks pretty cool. I really like it. If you look at the level, actually let me make that a little bigger for you. If you look at the level, it says level 0, and it has plus 0% max HP. So what you have to do is you have to upgrade these, and as you upgrade them, it will upgrade to plus 5% max HP. So you can get an extra 5%. If you decide you don't like the skin itself, or if the unit you want to upgrade doesn't have a skin yet, you can actually keep the main look, the normal look, and still upgrade the classic skin, I think they called it. And so you can still get that extra 5% substats as well. That way you don't have to wait for a skin to come out for a particular unit before they're able to get the bonuses that you want them on. The next screenshot we have is another one of the skins. I'll make this one a little bigger for you too. So this is the Fire Ranger. I really like this one. It looks really cool. I don't know how many people are building the Fire Ranger, but if you do, you can choose to put your skin on him as well. Alright, so I'm going to exit these because the other screenshots aren't overly exciting. So let's get rid of this. Yep. Alright. So, sorry about that. We just finished stream and people are still there checking their points and stuff for stream. If you are interested in joining us on stream, it's twitch.tv/fivefingershuffle. We stream every Tuesday and every Saturday. And also, I kind of throw in streams whenever I can, so that's why we ended up streaming today. I had some time, so I jumped on to stream today. We had a great stream. So yeah, you can check us out there if you want. Alright, so next up on the update info, get back on topic here. So co-op boss raids, you can join forces up to 4 other players to defeat the boss. We already talked about the Elixir Labs. So let's jump right into this. There's 3 different levels. The first level of the co-op is called Epic, and it takes 3 players, and you're allowed to use bots. So if you're on the Epic level, you can just run it with bots and get your rewards that way. So that's really nice, knowing that you can do that. Unfortunately, for Legend and for Nightmare difficulties, you need more players, and you're not allowed to use bots. So Legend, you need 4 players, and Nightmare, you need 5 players. The co-op boss raids don't use energy, which is really nice, which means you can run it for free. If you don't have any energy, you won't miss out on getting the rewards. The trick though is that instead of using energy, when you defeat the boss, your monsters go into exhausted state, basically meaning that you can't use them again for another boss raid of that difficulty. So just say, for argument's sake, you're doing the Nightmare difficulty. Once you've defeated it, you can do it again, but you just can't use any of the monsters you used the first time you defeated it. If you lost, however, you can use all those monsters again until you defeat the boss. So it's nice to know that it's something that we don't have to grind all day long, because you can't auto it, so you have to actually be paying attention. So it is a limited number of times. If you have 20 champions built, then maybe you can make 4 teams, maybe, and you could run it 4 times, but then that's going to be it, and that's your day. So you will have to coordinate with people, maybe in guild chat. I know our guild uses Discord. If any of you are looking to do that, you can add us on Discord. Just search Epic Gaming on Discord. You can join us there, and there'll always be people looking for boss raids there as well. Let me see, what else is there on the boss raids? Oh, and the champions do lose their exhausted status at reset, and reset is the same as the day reset, so it'll be easy to keep that straight. And you can try the boss as many times as you want in order to figure out the strategy, because it doesn't use any energy, and you don't lose your champions. So hopefully that will help. Co-op will also feature a group lobby chat. I don't know how it's going to be based on the chat that's already in game, but hopefully that functions well. And the co-op event leaderboard and rewards can be found in the rankings menu as well. So nothing too crazy. Hopefully it doesn't work too bad, and everything runs smoothly once it launches. Just so you know though, when the update launches, co-op won't be live right away. So don't expect to be able to jump right into co-op the first day. They are waiting to launch co-op with another event, so it might be a few days before we get to actually test co-op. But within co-op, the rewards are the main one that everybody wants to know about is the Chaos Orbs. So the Chaos Orbs are going to let you re-roll all your substats on a single piece of gear, and then you get to choose whether or not you want to keep the old ones or the new ones. So what's going to happen is every time you beat the Nightmare difficulty, you will get a drop that includes Chaos Orbs. We know that you need 50 orbs to do the reappraisal. What we don't know is how many you get per drop. They didn't mention it, and they intentionally didn't mention it. They made a point of not saying. So it'll be interesting to see how many you get. But what we do know is that you can only get them from Nightmare difficulty. So we do need to find ways to beat that difficulty as soon as possible. I'm actually going to go look at the gear as soon as I'm done this run, and I'll just kind of show you what that's going to do, just so everybody's clear on that. The new feature is the Elixir Labs. We already talked about that. There are also new buffs and debuffs. So the new buffs and debuffs are Withering, Blight, Damage Negation, and Rage. Most of these are to do with the bosses, but the Withering debuff is a legendary debuff that reduces max HP of the enemy by 1% per stack. The Blight debuff is a legendary debuff that reduces max HP, attack, defense, resistance, and accuracy by 1% per stack. It's inflicted by the co-op boss and also by the Blight set. So there are new rune sets, or sorry, new gear sets, and that is one of them. It's a 4 set that you can equip on your champions, and you can only get it as well. Well, actually, hold that. We'll get back to that part in a second, where you can get it from. The damage negation is used by the co-op boss, and the rage buff. All right, let's go over to the gear. The rage buff is buff only applied to bosses. That only applies to bosses. Each stack increases the boss's damage by 1% and can't be removed. So there are the 4 new gear sets as well. But before we get to those, let's look at the gear. So I actually have a great piece of gear to show as an example for this. So I got this drop today. Mortal attack percent, legendary piece of gear. but the first roll went into flat defense and the next 2 into flat HP. So this is not the kind of substats you would want on a nice, strong, mortal attack percent piece of gear. What you would want is like a crit rate, crit damage, maybe HP, something like that. But these substats are awful for this. So with these reappraisal orbs that you can get, the attack percentage will stay the same. It will still remain a bracer, and it'll still be mortal, and it'll still be legendary. But the 4 substats underneath it, the resistance, crit damage, defense, and max HP, will re-roll into new things with new totals. And then at the end of it, you get to decide which one you want to keep. So if you're coming from Summoner's War, then this is basically identical to that system. If you aren't, then hopefully this helps you out. If you have any questions, please just leave them in the comment section below and I'll try and explain that. But yeah, hopefully that part helps. So we're just going to stay here because we're going to have to go through the champions in a minute, but I just want to run through this new gear first. So the Withering set is a 2 set, dropped by Steel Widow, stages 10 and up. Every 10 attacks applies 1 stack of the legendary Withering buff. Just a reminder, Withering is reducing the max HP of the enemy by 1%. Then Resilient is another 2 set. This one is dropped by the co-op raid boss on any difficulty, increases the legendary debuff resistance by 30%. So legendary debuffs are basically amped up regular debuffs, but we'll get into that later as well. This resistance is not halved by legendary debuffs that a normal resistance is, but it does not apply to normal ones. The next one is Hallowed gear set. It's a 4 set, dropped by co-op raids as well on any difficulty, and basically what it does is every 10 attacks removes 1 legendary debuff from all allies. So these legendary debuffs are basically amped up versions, like ascended versions of the regular debuffs, and they can't be stripped or cleansed. Sorry, they can't be cleansed. But the only way they can be cleansed is by this Hallowed gear set. So most likely what's going to happen is we're going to need this Hallowed gear set when we face the Nightmare version of the co-op boss, because he's going to put these, what's it called again? The legendary debuffs on us, and we'll have no way of cleansing it unless we have that Hallowed set. So we're going to have to fight for those probably on the lower levels and work our way up. And finally, the last set is Blighted. It's a 4 set, dropped by the co-op raids in Nightmare. And this one, every 10 stacks applies 1 stack of legendary Blight debuff to the primary target, which reduces max HP, attack, defense, res, and accuracy by 1% per stack. So hopefully these aren't too crazy hard to get, but that does at least explain what we're going to have to be farming from these. It is going to take a long time though. If you think about how many pieces of gear we get in a day from Widow, and then you might only get like 3 or 4 pieces from this new boss per day, it's going to take a long time to get good sets. So don't expect to be able to do it right away. It's probably going to take some time. There are also 2 bonus daily quests added. The bonus dailies don't count toward your completing your daily tasks, but you can do them whether you want to or not. And if you do, you get outfit tokens from these. So this is how you're going to get your skins. The first one, you win 1 match in 5v5 and you get outfit tokens. And the second one is defeat the co-op boss on any difficulty and you get outfit tokens that way as well. So there's a bunch of UI stuff, but the Ascended boss loot has also been buffed. So for Widow and Drake 11+, there will be no more 4-star gear. The Withering set has been put in Widow, but even though there's a 7th gear set, with the 4-star gear removed, the drop rate of Adept and all the other sets is still going to be increased because of it. So that's great news. As soon as we get into those higher levels, that we don't have to worry about getting 4-star gear. That's going to mean more gold, more good gear, and less trash that we have to worry about getting rid of. Also, there's new achievements added for level 15 and level 13 of Drake and Widow. Also new achievements for each difficulty in the co-op bosses. And max energy for level 40s has been increased from 97 to 100. So for all you people that are OCD about the 97 energy, that's finally going to be fixed. Also, increase in brutal gear bonus. It used to be 30% attack. It's now going to be jumped up to 35% attack. And there's a couple bugs increased as well. New outfits can be upgraded up to 5 times, which is really nice, giving 1% for each upgrade. And I think that's pretty much it. There's more information in on the Facebook page regarding outfits and stuff like that, but I won't go into all of it. It doesn't really make too much of a difference. If you want to read over it, you can. I'll leave the link in the description below. So if you want to go into detail reading all that stuff, then you're more than welcome to. There's also more information on the boss as well, but I'm not, or the new co-op boss, but I'm not going to read that either, as it doesn't really, it won't make much sense just yet. So the big one for Arena, they did make some Arena changes, so I know, especially in my guild, everyone's going to be super happy about this. They increased the regen rate of PvP energy to every 30 minutes instead of every hour, so you will get more PvP energy throughout the day, and they finally reworked the system. So one of the last videos I made, I talked about how they were going to rework the system of 5v5, so trophies didn't matter anymore. So I don't know if they're going to say trophies don't matter completely, but in regular Arena, they are adjusting the trophy requirements that you need to be closer to the amount of players playing the game, and then they're going to adjust that as more people start playing the game. So hopefully now you'll be able to get more gems with every rush hour, and we won't have to worry about people like ranking #1 and getting like 31st place rewards. So hopefully that's all sorted out once this update hits. I think that's fantastic. So I know there's a lot of times where I finished like top 30 or top 100 and I got like top 1,000 rewards. So it'll be nice to get higher rewards, and we should all be getting more gems because of it. They did also say they're going to fix the brackets as the players amount of players increases, so it won't just stay there forever. Same thing with 5v5. Alright, so champion balancing. The first and the biggest one is the Archangels. So I did see a lot of people being really upset about the Water Archangel and his main invulnerability skill, Guardian Angel. So people that have him are fuming right now because they think he got this huge nerf, and he really didn't get a nerf at all. If you only have one Zavaron, you're fine. He didn't get a nerf, nothing happened to him, he's going to be the exact same as he was before. The only time this is going to apply is if you have 2 of either him and the Dark One, any combination, and what's going to happen is when he puts up his buff, it's going to be, the buff lasts for 4 seconds, but right now you can basically put up the Dark One, or say if you have a second one, the second one put up his buff right away, and you can never have a gap in between. You have permanent invulnerability, and nothing can beat you unless you get stripped. So now what's going to happen is, once it goes up, you're not allowed to cast another one for 6.5 seconds. So basically what's going to happen is, because it's a 4-second buff, you're going to have 2.5 seconds of downtime no matter what you do. There's nothing you can do about it. Guaranteed 2.5 seconds of downtime. So you can no longer have permanent immunity if you're using 2 of these guys. But that's it. That's the only thing that's happened. So yeah, you did get nerfed if you were running 2 of them, but if you're running 2 of them, it was broken anyway, and you had to expect that this was going to happen. So the next one is the Diva. The Water Diva, as a lot of people know, is crazy overpowered in 5v5 right now. Basically, if you're running 5v5, you have to have her as part of your team, otherwise you're not going to win. So what they did is the heal, oh sorry, let's do the stun first. So the stun right now attacks 3 times, and it can stun on all 3 attempts. So what they've done in 5v5 is they made it so she can only stun once. So if you don't stun the first time, she'll try again. If she doesn't stun the second time, she'll try again. But if she stuns the first time, she can't stun the second and third times. And also the heal has been reduced as well. So now we're going to get into a couple of the other balancing changes. The first one, and one of the bigger ones actually, is this water Crowhag. So Rona, let's see. The first one, Bad Omen. So the second skill now removes one buff each time it hits an enemy. If a buff was removed successfully, it inflicts one stack of ongoing damage. So to suddenly have a strip and replace with ongoing damage is really strong. Now the next skill, Noxious Poison, now breaks shields in addition to the other effects. So you still get the what is on here, but now it's also going to break shields if you have shields. Noxious Brew, which is not this one. And the damage, sorry, the damage has also been increased on this skill, the Noxious Poison. And I guess there was also a bug. So the bug was that she could stun herself with Dazzling Gear. So that bug no longer exists. So if you had her on Dazzling and wondering why you were always stunned, that's why. And that's been fixed as well. So that's a pretty big buff for Rona. So if you are going to build a Crowhag, then she's a great option, especially for free-to-play or early game players. This Water Crowhag looks really strong. The next one, the next big one on the list, is the Fire Dragon Guard and the Dark Dragon Guard. So these two both got massive, massive buffs. So I'm going to start with the Dark one, because I think, well, I know his buff was the lesser of the two, but they're both crazy. So basically what happened is the Light Water Nature did get a buff. Instead of having a chance to gain a defense buff, the Dragon Guard gains a massive % increase in his base defense when he's below 30%. 30% HP, sorry. This can stack with the raised defense buff if he receives it from another source. So that's a nice buff. But the Dark and Fire one, let's jump into these guys. So the new auto attack skill is going to be Dragon's Favor instead of Bludgeon. So before it has a chance to raise defense. Now the new auto attack skill for the Dark and Fire Dragon Guard is whenever an ally drops below 30% HP, the Dragon Guard gives that ally the Undying buff. This effect can trigger in quick succession on multiple allies, but each ally can only be affected once every 45 seconds. This limit applies even if you have multiple Dragon Guards. The Dragon Guard cannot be affected by this effect, nor can other Dragon Guards. So you can't run multiple, but to be able to give Undying to everyone on your team has the potential to be really, really strong in different areas of the game. I'm going to kind of leave the theory crafting up to you guys, but I definitely think that this guy suddenly becomes really, really strong. Now, the last skill up on Bludgeon, I actually have one of these guys, so let's come out and look at him really quick. So this one here, Bludgeon, it says skill up number 5, effect chance plus 10%. That's been switched over to damage because there is no more effect chance on this skill. So he does get a 10% damage buff as well. Now for the Fire one. Because if you thought that one was good, you're right. It is very strong. But the Fire one on top of that got another buff. So he gets the same first skill buff. But now the Fire one, Guardian's Impact, the second skill. First it was jumps to a location, slamming the ground, deals damage to enemies in the area. Damage is based off defense. It's not bad, but it's nothing special. But they changed it. This skill now raises defense of all nearby allies, including the Dragon Guard, in addition to its other effects. So he still does this skill, but he also raises defense as well. It's an AoE defense buff, which we've talked about how strong the defense buffs are in this game. So if you're looking for a defense buff and you haven't already built the Fire Magic Girl, this guy may be your best option. He has an AoE stun. He now has the defense buff. He has an attack break, and he has this Undying buff as well. So all in all, really, really, really strong. Depending on where you're going to use them and how, you can use either of these guys. The dark one, I think, if you're already running a defense buff, then he would be the better choice. But if you don't have a defense buff yet and you haven't built the Magic Girl, then this guy might be even better. So it kind of depends what you're looking for, what your team composition looks like. But he looks ridiculously strong now, and I would probably recommend building one, or at least thinking about it. Other than that, the only other one that I want to touch on, well, there's two more, I guess. The Mercenary. So, for Bounty Hunter, Bounty for All, the Light and Water, a new basic attack skill that inspires nearby allies with each swing, increasing the next instance of damage they deal by 10%. This damage effect can stack up to 5 times. So if you build this girl and put her on your team, she can, after the 5th buff, or the 5th stack, she's buffing damage by 50%. So if you're looking at speed runs, these girls may be good for your speed runs. Obviously we have to test it out, see how it works, but definitely potential for some crazy speed runs using a Mercenary. And then the Fire, Nature, and Dark one, the new basic attack skill that replaces Slash. Instead of increasing the damage of the Mercenary's next skill, each attack now inspires all nearby allies, decreasing the instance of damage they receive by 10%, stacking up to 5 times. So basically, it's the reverse of the water one, where it would give you damage reduction by up to 50% once stacked. So that might not be as good in an arena because you'll probably already be dead by then. But still, if you need to stay alive, so potentially in the new Ascended bosses, maybe one of these girls can be good. And finally, the Sharks. The Sharks got a decent buff. So all elements now, their regular skill, they cause the shark to passively gain a regeneration whenever a nearby enemy dies. And in 5v5, it triggers on a kill or assist on an enemy champion, but not on troops. So that's important to keep in mind if you use the water one in 5v5. And the last attack dealt while affected by Feeding Frenzy, Fire, or Mortal Edge Light now inflicts legendary mortal wounds and ignores immunity. So if you decide to build either the light one or the fire one, this is the first champ that gives a legendary debuff, and it's legendary mortal wounds. So if you're stuck on, say, the Dryad stage in Blitz, and you're having a hard time stopping her from healing, this may be an option, running the light one, because of the legendary mortal wounds. Or even the Dark Archangel one on level 50, if he keeps healing on the legendary difficulty, like I was having a problem with, you can put this debuff on there and he will stop healing altogether because he can't cleanse it, because they're uncleansable when they're legendary. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. And if you did, please hit that like button and show your support. Also share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel. Hopefully you all have a great day, and we'll see y'all soon, hopefully with a new update. Take care, guys.